Thank you for tuning into Cytology 101. I'm your host, Sydney Robinson. We'll get into the challenges of the dental industry, empower leaders to inspire their teams, and foster collaboration between office team members and practice owners. Together, we'll find creative solutions to get shit done. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cytology 101. So you guys are in for a treat because I have part one of the audio from our workshop that we hosted in March in San Diego. If you did not have the opportunity to join us in San Diego for the All About the Numbers workshop, I hope that you guys have major FOMO. We had such a good time. There's some real fun videos floating around of us going out. But what was really touching and motivating for me as a mentor and coach for a lot of our members was that we had a room full of treatment coordinators, office managers, even doctors showed up for this workshop. And I think it was about 50 to about 70 people. We try to keep them small and they're consistently growing, which is fun. But in this workshop, we really wanted to just talk about KPIs. Like, what does it mean? How can we use those to communicate? How can we set goals? How do we know that we're winning? And ultimately, how our numbers tell us a story and where we should redirect our focus. This lecture, it is KPIs Simplified. They're just numbers, not nightmares. And this is part one. I'm going to cover what it means to allow your numbers to tell a story. How to hit production and collection goals without burnout, case acceptance, just some helpful tips and tricks on case acceptance. And so I hope that you guys enjoy this recording. And if you want to know more, you want the full video, all of the slides, all that good jazz, head over to FOA Coaching, fill out a contact us form, and we're more than happy to send those over to you. Just let us know. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode and stay tuned for part two. So today we're going to talk about KPIs, all the numbers. KPI Simplified. They're just numbers. They're not nightmares. Don't have to be scary, okay? They're just ones, twos, and zeros. I know it sounds scary. I know we're like, okay, KPIs, what are we doing here? But they're key performance indicators. How many of you did not know what KPIs were before? Yeah, okay, I love it, thank you. I didn't either until someone explained it to me. Key performance indicators is what help you understand your practice, but also the goal is to work smarter, not harder. Your numbers tell a story, and I know a lot of you all heard this a lot in your hot seat groups. This is how you can measure your success. So starting with production, that's a given. Collections, case acceptance, number of missed calls, reappoint, recall, hygiene production, and account receivables. These are the top ones that I think as team members we should know and we should understand. How many of you guys know what your production goal is? Love it. And how many of you actually use your production goal to help drive each and every day? Using your production to help drive your practice. We always say that you should collect 98% of what you're producing. Now, I have a lot of offices that are like, no, we want to collect 100% of what we're producing. Go you, that's great. However, our standard is 98%. So if your production is 200,000, you want to make sure that you're collecting 98% of that 200,000. So as our billing coordinators, as our treatment coordinators, office managers, as you all are looking at your numbers and you're trying to figure out, are we doing good? How do we know that we're doing good? Or doc, when you're goal setting, you're going to now set a collection goal based off of that production goal. So now you have a drive and you have a direct focus and you know that your practice is actually moving the needle. So 98% of what you are producing, you should be collecting. And then of course, case acceptance. How many of you all struggle with tracking case acceptance? Yeah, case acceptance is a pain in my ass, depending on what practice analytics software you use. And if you don't use one, then you have to go old school and actually just track that with a spreadsheet. So for the ones who said they have trouble with it, are you using any type of practice analytics software and you're still having trouble? Okay, what do you use?
We use Jarvis Analytics, but where our struggle comes from is because our doctors don't add treatment plans or add cases. They just invite patients to
The doctors just jump in there and start doing treatment. It's like, okay, we can just be friends. You can pay me later. Yeah. Or just write it off. But that's something, though, in my group that I was telling them was when you understand your production and your collection, and you can actually go to your doctor, you can you can show them now what they're losing. Create a dummy code of those adjustments and write-offs that you're doing. And then each time the doctor does a courtesy, we'll just give them whatever off. Or maybe you can also track the ones where if you go into treatment without presenting a treatment plan and the patient doesn't pay, you can start keeping track of that, showing your doctor actually the money that they're losing. I think that it's that out of sight, out of mind concept that if you just don't see it, you don't realize what's happening until it's actually a big problem. So this is where you can take this back to your practice owners and say, okay, wait, I heard this. What do you think about if we were to do this? My doctor was numbers driven. Like I had to have essentially hard facts of what's happening. And if I gave him what we were losing, it instantly changed his mind. Oh, okay, no, we don't want to do that. At the end of the day, these are their practices. We're just here to support them in any way that we possibly can. And sometimes, like I said, that out of sight, out of mind concept is a thing. You still see the accounts because out of curiosity, how many times have you guys been short your production collection goal? And then out of that, how many times has he said, we got to produce or we got to collect more? Great, okay. It's the write-offs and adjustments. So there's a healthy way of presenting this for anybody that's having this problem. Don't just go in and say, you need to stop giving away treatment. No, that's not how we approach this. That's the wrong approach because that defense is gonna come up and he's gonna brush that off and it's not gonna give you the time of day. So be super strategic about your approach and how you go into that conversation.
I just wanted to add on to that, kind of what you were saying. It's perception versus reality. If you talk to your doctor, he probably thinks it's just an every now and then thing, but you see it as a major problem. And without real numbers to really show him the extent to which it's affecting the practice, like he thinks it's nominal, right? It's just one or two times here and there. And then you add it up with real numbers and can show him, it'll give him a better reality of what is really happening.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just going off of the no charges and stuff, or the write-offs, oftentimes when the admin's dealing with patients asking sometimes for discounts, or maybe their insurance didn't pay as they expected, and they'll cover it, like they'll handle it, but then it's when the patient says, can you please talk to the doctor and ask them? What is like the best verbiage to respond to that?
I think that giving discounts is a real touchy subject for me. Because the way that I view it is we're not a car dealership and we're not Target. We are medical professionals providing a medical service. And they wouldn't go and break their arm and tell the doctor, hey, to have this brace and to have that infusion, can you give me a 20% discount off of it? They wouldn't go in and do that. The guy down the road and the girl down the road may be doing this for their patients, but at the end of the day, everybody, if we can just eliminate that mindset, if that's an insurance patient, it's easy for me. It's, hey, you have insurance benefits, and what's really great about your insurance, I show them that UCR fee. So for easy math, the total treatment is $5,000. This is what it will be if you did not have insurance. But because you have insurance benefits, your total is $2,500. Your insurance is gonna help you with $2,000, your estimated portion is $500, right? They're seeing that benefit jump from $5,000 down to $500. So for me, it's easy with the verbiage that I'm using. And then if someone comes and say, can I have a discount off of that? Or is there any other way that we can pay for that? I would love to do that looking at your insurance benefits because we are contracted with them, or if you guys are fee for service, you wouldn't use that. But because we are contracted with your insurance, this is what we do for our patients so that you can receive benefits. That's it. Can you ask the doctor? This is something that Dr. Kim actually talked to me about, and she talks to all of our patients about this. So just edify your team members, give them some helpful verbiage. It's not gonna work on every patient because you have psychos in the world, but let's start training our patients. The moment that you guys start saying, oh, we can give you a discount, we can do it this time. Your patients are, especially your loyal patients, they're coming in, of course they're gonna always expect it, right? That's if I give my kid chocolate every night and I just stop, he's, excuse me? Where's my chocolate? So I think that we got to reset our mind when it comes to it. My fee-for-service practices, yes, you are a bit different, and I definitely understand that because you are using your UCR fees. If someone does ask for a discount, I know my fee-for-service offices some of them offer a paid in full, where if they pay in full, they get 10 or 15% off. That's something that I always like to do. Everybody knows, like, I also have a collection cheat sheet. So Mark used to tell me, you have $500 to make it right. If we're trying to collect, I had a little scale that I knew that I can either offer a discount or something like that for the patient.
For those that have bought existing practices, and that was like the standard that was set by the previous doctor,
that's a
and so
good
now
one.
you have patients that have been coming there for 25 years with this standard, and like the common theme I'm hearing is, Dr. Scola never did that. Dr. Scola did it this way. Why is he changing things?
Yeah, that's like dating somebody and just telling them, my ex used to do this. My ex used to take me here. My ex used to do all those weird things. You don't do that. That's essentially what's happening. And they're just comparing you to the old doctor. And I understand that it is hard when you don't want to lose patients. You want to keep those patients, but at what cost? Is this your ideal patient? Is this a patient who's going to refer their family and friends? Is this a patient that's going to refer their family and friends who are going to then ask for the same things? So I hear what you're saying. It is super difficult to go in, and I cringe even when I'm about to make my statement. However, Dr. Kim, these are her best practices. She really wants to take care of all of her patients. We want to provide as much resources and benefits as we can. We do things a bit different, moving on with the times, and you want to be up to date with all of the latest technology in dentistry. I always try to use some type of edification for our practice of why we are set apart. But when it comes to billing, it's just, that's what they're used to. I had an office that they didn't collect for any patient. They just used to send them a bill in the mail, and the patients would just pay whenever they wanted to pay. Doctor acquired the practice, now they're having a hard time, where the collection's at, right? And he's like, I need money. So at some point, we have to make a conscious decision that, is this really what we want? Do we truly want to lose patients? Or is it my office is struggling to keep their lights on? When I ask my doctor for a raise, he or she is like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because we're not collecting. We're so afraid of losing those patients that now we can't go to Cabo for a team retreat. So at what cost, everybody? And my doctor's in the room, same for you. I know this is cringing. I know that you're like, hey, girl, stop. I can't lose a patient right now. But just think about that light at the end of the tunnel where you have your ideal, think about your perfect patient. The one that show up on time, the one that pays their bill, the one that when you present a treatment plan, they trust you, they value you, and they refer someone to you. Think about that patient, and those are the ones that you want to keep coming back to your office. So who's the problem here? You're the problem. It's okay. I support you. Okay, I better keep going because this is getting good. So case acceptance. We have your total treatment presented. So that's the dollar amount that your providers, hygiene and or restorative, are presenting to treat their patients. The total treatment amount accepted, that is the dollar amount that patients are saying yes to. The reason why I put that on there is so that we can use data to tell us what actually is happening and how much our patients are accepting. So for example, in one of the acquisitions that I helped start, the older doctor, he was retired, well, kind of retired. He still wanted to do dentistry 1 day a week. Unfortunately, he didn't want to do crowns, bridges, or dentures. He only wanted to do fillings and onlays. And so that's what he was diagnosing. So as I look at it, and again, my doctor's okay, what's going on in his office, Sydney? and we started to dig into the numbers, I looked at it and we're seeing that we're not diagnosing dollar-wise. And what's being accepted is not really high, because we all know about 75% of that, but 80% of that may be accepted. So we have a diagnosis problem. Another thing that helped me out was with my other doctor, who was a rock star, as we start to look at that too, okay, we're diagnosing pretty good, but why is the dollar amount so low? Patients were choosing the lowest amount. So maybe they only did the filling. I only want to do the night guard. They didn't want to do the crown. They didn't want to do the implant. So what that told me as a leader, I need to work with my TCs and let me start hearing how we're presenting. Also, let me listen to what the associate, what the doctors, how they're talking to the patients, because maybe we're not talking about urgency, maybe they don't understand the importance, or maybe I had a lovely doc who loved saying, it's just a filling, or it's just a crown, and you can, if you want to do it, then just go ahead and get on the schedule. Sydney will help you out. It sounds like I really don't need this. So if it's just a filling, or when would you like to come back? You're giving me the choice, you're giving me the option. So I like to tell all of my peeps, same thing going back to the doctor. I fractured my arm, I need to go in and have surgery. The doctor isn't gonna say, if you want to have that arm fixed, you can go in and do surgery. No, he's going to say, you need to go and have surgery. Go ahead, schedule this, someone's gonna call you. Isn't that how it goes in the doctor's office? So why is that any different in dentistry? But I didn't know that until I actually started listening. I started shadowing a bit. We just made tweaks to that office so that we can increase that dollar amount. So that's especially for our leaders and TCs, if you're trying to figure out what's happening, your numbers are going to tell you a story. So that's why I like to look at this. We don't look at this every day. We look at this on a monthly basis with our leadership team. And then we make that informed decision of, okay, is there anything we need to do to help support our team members? I want to bring my TCs in. I want to bring in my DAs. What's happening with these numbers? And let's figure this out. And then of course you want to see your overall practice case acceptance, which we say anywhere from 75 to 80% is that benchmark. Next up, again, same scenario, your restorative case acceptance. So now I want to break this up by restorative, and I want to break it up by hygiene. Who's carrying the practice here? Is everybody pulling their weight? Because if everybody's pulling their weight, we are golden. However, how do we know? So how we can do that is by looking at your restorative case acceptance, total amount presented, total amount accepted, and then restorative percentage. And what we say is, based off of that, it should be anywhere from 25 to 35% of what you're presenting. So 25 to 35% of what you're presenting, we're saying should be accepted. So if you're not tracking that, I do recommend leadership team, add that to your leadership agenda where you guys are going through these numbers, okay? The next one is hygiene. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We already talked about it. You want to look at your hygiene providers. I think this is super important too, because as we say, your hygiene department, total production, 25% of that. So if my office for the month is producing $200,000 a month, my hygiene department is 25% of that, okay? That will be your perio, so your SRPs, your limited scaling, if they're doing any sealants, laser therapy. Depending on the office, I have another office where if the hygienist talks about a night guard, they put the night guard on the hygiene production because they are the ones that did it. So those are the things. So you'll want to look at your perio treatment, and then also that will also include your prophy. So it's any treatment that they're diagnosing. Cleanings is a diagnosis. If you ever wanted to figure this out, your perio versus prophy, you want to look at those numbers too and see how much perio is actually being diagnosed. Everybody knows standard is 50% of Americans have periodontal disease, so we want to make sure that we do have a healthy perio department. All right, so now I want to take a look at my providers. So for my big offices, if you have multiple locations, this is extremely important to make sure that you're looking at these numbers on a monthly basis to see what your providers are bringing to the practice. Again, everybody's pulling their weight. So you want to see what their treatment presented per doctor is. Same thing for your hygienist. You want to see what that total amount is. Also, you want to look at each provider for acceptance as well. Your hygiene reappoint rate, you want to look at how many patients were seen, and out of those patients that were seen, how many of those patients reappointed? How many patients scheduled for their next visit, and then you want to do your total. Now, our baseline is 90%. If you're falling below 90%, hygiene is seeing patients and you're seeing that they're not rescheduling. Again, this just isn't a number that we just talk about in morning huddle. Why? Get to the root of the problem. I know one office said that the hygienist went on maternity leave and they have temps coming in, and the hygienist they're the ones that schedule the appointment. So now we need to pivot. And instead of the hygienist doing it, we talk to our admin team members. They talk to their admin team and, hey, we're going to do the scheduling for now. Now they see that number creeping up. So that was something that they saw because they were tracking that number. When you think about it, what would you say is one of the things that is keeping that number low for you? How can we put something in place moving forward that if this happens again, this is what we'll do? Because without reappointing these patients, you're working harder on the back end. Now you're trying to call all these patients to come back in. If we were just to schedule them when we had their attention, and I get a lot of times too, oh, the patient said that they want to check their schedule. Oh, you know what? Dr. Kim fills up fairly quickly, and I know you like those 7 o'clock spots. So let's get you in at 7 a.m. And if that changes, we always send out the confirmation. Just give us a call and we'll get you in, or we can move it. We try to eliminate them telling us no or I'm too busy. Give them an option, but if they hear that the doctor or the hygienist, their favorite hygienist, that is always busy, they're more likely to go ahead and just schedule that for you.
So we have, I think lately, maybe the previous admin developed a more reasonable attitude about letting the parents leave without reappointing because they had to rush to school or they have to rush to soccer.
Yeah.
But I think we have to use that tactic of really just getting them in the calendar.
Yeah.
And then also we discussed that because we have dental assistants who do basically our hygiene stuff.
Yeah.
But that we should empower them to do the scheduling in the back.
They're back there with the patient the whole time. While I'm waiting for my doctor to do the exam, I could be scheduling the next appointment. While I'm waiting for the x-ray machine to load or waiting to take a pano or the iTero machine or something like that, I can be scheduling that patient's seat crown. So that's that workflow that if we just take a look at what we're doing, we can make those fine tweaks that now everything's running efficiently and smoothly. Those patients who have to hurry and get out of here, another one could be when they come in, hey, Julia, I know that you have to get your kids to school. Let's go ahead and schedule their appointment now. And then once you're all done, that way you could get on out of here. The only thing I don't like doing is taking payments before, because if something changes, then it makes it a little bit wonky. But that's the only thing I don't like doing. But for the appointments, I can just do that and get them in, because you guys know your patients better than I do.
We had a dental intel coach, and he said that he takes a little bit different take on it.
Okay.
And that he said if you have patients that say, I don't know what's happening in 6 months, he says just set dental intel to send them a reminder, because those are the patients that next week they just start dropping out of your schedule because they didn't know what they were doing. They're like, oh, I'm busy. When I get the confirmation call, I'll just cancel it out. So he said to not reappoint them, make room for people that want those times, and then to have your software send reminders to them like a month ahead so they can schedule what works for them. So we have a little lower reappointment rate, 83%, but it's going off of that, more of that theory to let our software remind them like a month ahead of time.
That's a good point. I guess what I'm thinking, because if that's working for you, that's great. 6 months now comes around. We're at 6 months. Do you have openings on your hygiene schedule where you're trying to fill hygiene? Okay, so then that's a really good workaround that you can do. If that's working for your office, by all means, definitely do it. I'll be curious to see how many offices that do something like that and your schedule does fall apart. For us, it could be the patient that we did schedule, right? That did say that they want that appointment. 6 months later, they cancel. So that's why we always like to have backup plans
Yeah,
where
I feel
we
like
keep
that
a
week
VIP.
it still falls apart.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a great workaround, and I respect that 100%. And if it's working for you, by all means, continue to do it. Other ladies and gents, if you have dental intel and that's something that can work for you, set that up. However, in addition to that, have a safety net. So my open dental users, we have the ASAP list. I will put that patient on the ASAP list. I have my patients who I would say, okay, we're booked 8 months out, but if anything changes on the schedule, I can get you in. So I call it VIP list, but in open dental it's called ASAP. More people just like the sound of VIP list. So they're like, ooh, yeah, call me. So keep that list going, because those would be the patients, hey, I know you want to get in sooner. If something opens up on a Tuesday or Wednesday, would that work for you? I can always text you and give you a call. So work that ASAP list as well, in addition to what you're doing. We did talk about missed appointments, reappoint rate, recall, hygiene, production, and accounts receivable. So everybody knows how I roll when it comes to scheduling smarter. I like to look at, and I want you to follow me here. I like to look at my entire month. We have a goal of $200,000 in production. I'm going to split that up over 4 weeks. You have your forward 4-week production. I have a goal of $200,000. I want to take my $200,000 and I'm going to divide that by 4 weeks. So each week we need to produce $50,000. Okay? Then how many working days in a week do we have? Majority, on average, most people work 4 days. Fridays are closed, right? So let's just do 4. So I'm gonna take that 50,000 and I'm gonna divide that by 4. That gives me 12,500. Okay, you guys see where I'm going with this? So when you have that big number, try to forward think of how can we get there? And this is not for my OMs, this is for my team members. I want to work smarter, not harder. So my TCs, when I'm treatment presenting, I know what I need to put on my schedule. Because I know I need to do 12,500, which 25% of that is hygiene, right? I want to go in and I want to present treatment. I know that my goal, maybe we're 10,000 short for the week. Where are my openings on the schedule? Okay, I got 4 openings. Thursday looks like shit, so Thursday is gonna be my focus. Let's focus on today, tomorrow. So now when I go in and I'm presenting, I am going to say, Dr. Costas can get you in on Thursday at 2 o'clock. I'm going to focus on that day, but also when I'm presenting, I know that I just got to make up $10,000. If we can get $10,000, then I'm good, and everything else is it's a bonus, and we have so much room for activities. I don't have to sit and call 30, 40 patients, right? Don't get me wrong, yes, we want to make sure we're calling patients, getting them in, but if we're strategically scheduling patients and when we're presenting treatment plans, it's going to make my job easier. Does that make sense? Now, the tough part is, how do we get yeses? That's really the challenge. Like, we can understand these numbers, but how do I get a yes? Third-party financing. We can offer that. This is my little statement. Please know that I am not supported by anybody other than Sydney when I say this. I went into an office and I tried something a little bit different. So working with the office manager, working with the TCs, we're trying to increase production, help turn the practice around. And I realized that we're going in and we're presenting treatment. They're saying all the right things. And I just couldn't figure out why. There was no patients that day when we were doing this training that accepted treatment, nobody. So the next day I go, that was really defeating. Even as a coach, someone who was there to support them, they're saying all the right things. So the first treatment of the day, they are fee-for-service practice too. So that's another thing. The biggest thing is, oh, what does my insurance cover? I'm not getting a lot. That's really their patient base. Acquisition, older practice, so we're really trying to just turn those things around in that practice. So I decided that I was gonna go rogue, and here's what I did. My very first one that I went and did, the guy needed a bridge and a couple crowns, and he had SRPs. So I presented the treatment the same way I did earlier. Hey, this is not what I was expecting. I completely understand. If we was able to fit this into your budget, what would that look like? And so he was like, I can do monthly payments. I said, great. Let's get you set up with monthly payments. I'm going to text you a link. Go ahead and fill out all the information on the link that I text you. I'm going to run up front and see what time doctor has available because she wanted to get you in right away. And I'm pretty sure she has a 2 o'clock. So let me go make sure that's still available. And I left the room. He fills out the Cherry application and went in and was like, oh, I got approved. And so came back, we got him all set up, got him scheduled for the treatment. We did that repetitively throughout the day, and that day we got 80% case acceptance. So what I did not say was third-party finances. I did not say we have Cherry. I did not say we have Care Credit. I did not say we can try to get you approved. What my thought process was is when I was listening to them the day before, yes, they're saying all the things, but those are some of the words that they used. And it didn't click for me, but everybody, let's look around what's happening in the economy. Interest rates are high. People are trying to buy homes. Everything has a payment. Even Amazon, Walmart has a payment plan for your groceries, right? There's so much convenience out there, and when people hear credit, they hear APR, they also hear that you're going to potentially run my credit score and I may get denied, or Care Credit's been around for a while, y'all. Some people have already applied for Care Credit in the past and did not get approved. So the way that my brain was working in that moment was, how can I break down these barriers? Because half the time, when they offered the third party, people were just saying, no, I don't want to apply. The other ones were like, I don't think I'll get approved. And it was like, let me just go home, I'll take it home and do it. And that's what they were running into at that office. Also, I left the room. That gives them privacy, especially for those ones who do fear that they may get denied. You sitting there staring at them, like, so what happened? That doesn't feel good to them. That was something else I noticed too. One guy like literally turned around and was about to get up and go, and she was like, no, uncomfortable. So it's like also give them that space to go ahead and fill that out, make them feel comfortable in it. So I stopped saying financing options. I started saying payment options. It worked. And now that office case acceptance for a fee-for-service practice, we do say 75 to 85%, but because they are fee-for-service, they're now at 65, which I think is pretty good because you're not going to really see higher case acceptance with the fee-for-service offices.
We use Cherry and we use the payment plan verbiage as well. But my pushback that I've been getting with that is once they're approved, and I print out those payment plan options, if they're not approved for the APR, they see that. And then that's when they're like, absolutely not. You didn't explain this to me. You didn't tell me that it would do anything with this. And now they're thinking that like, that trust between us is gone because they're thinking that we're lying to them.
Yeah.
How do you prevent that from happening?
So what I would say to that is, it's a soft inquiry, especially if you're using Cherry, that does not affect your credit. This is an option for you. If you choose to continue with us, these are the options that you can do. Also, there's no penalty to paying it off early. So we want to make sure that we're providing the best service here for you. So that would be something that I would say if I did get hit with that, I would let them know, just this is a soft inquiry. It does not affect your credit score. I have another office that used the pre-approval part of it too. And they tell patients, they text the patients and say, you got pre-approved for Cherry.
We got a 1-star review for that because they felt that we didn't get their verbal permission to do that pre-approval for them.
Yeah. When I go to Express, do you guys know how many times I've gone to Victoria's Secret or Express or what's the other one that do it? And on your little checkout thing, it says you've been pre-approved. We like to use that for our patients because we have a lot of patients who want the opportunity to be able to have affordable monthly payments. So it's just something that we offer to all of our patients. Boom. Shut up. Right? Stop it, guys. Stop. Don't get, and then I bet you probably like, oh, we're never going to do that again. We're not the only ones doing it. They even have interest rates on theirs too, but people are still doing it. But it's because we are a dental practice. Everybody hates us. Yeah. Okay. That was a really good one. I hope that was helpful. If I overstepped any boundaries or anything like that, just please keep in mind, I'm not telling you to go in and do this tomorrow or tell a patient to shut up. That's not what I'm saying here. But in my mind, I'm just like, that is unreasonable because it's everywhere that we go. And if you do want to try to move the needle, sometimes, guys, we got to step outside the box, but also sometimes we have to advocate for ourselves. So where I was going with that was the 4 week, you're looking at your schedule, you're trying to figure out where you need to be. So when you guys, everybody has their production goal, right? Now you guys know what you need to produce each week. Now, when I'm in my morning huddles and I go through my numbers, guys, we're scheduled at $12,000 today. We're $500 shy of our goal today. Is there any areas for opportunity that we can convert patients? And then I ask every single team member, and each team member has a role in morning huddle that they're doing. My DA would say, okay, we have Julia coming in at 3 o'clock. If we're able to move Julia up, we can do that crown that she has as well. We're having those type of discussions in our morning huddles to get us where we want to be. Or let's say we are scheduled to goal. Then someone's looking out at tomorrow and saying, hey, we have 4 openings on the schedule this week. So top priority is filling Wednesday, and then we really got to focus on Thursday because Thursday looks like that's tough. How many of you guys are having that type of conversation in your morning huddles? How many of you want to have those type of conversations? But how many of you know your production and know what you need to be scheduled at in order to have that discussion? If everybody just could look forward and look at what your production is and understand that number, everything else will fall into place. So for my offices, they were saying team members don't care, they gloss over this. Make it applicable to them. If I'm a dental assistant, like that's not my problem, okay? If you're talking to Susan, who's in your chair and they need a crown done, and Susan trusts you, you could be talking to Susan and saying, hey, Dr. Costas can actually do that other crown on this side. And I looked at your insurance, you still have benefits remaining. We can take care of that today. The dental assistant can help us with that, and now they're not having to convert so much treatment and feel like they're exhausted at the end of the day because they've been running around. But what they don't understand that no one's teaching them is because we have this number to meet, maybe we don't need to convert same day. And if we stop converting same day, we can get out of here on time. Everybody can get a lunch break.
This has been another episode of Cytology 101. Today's episode was sponsored by FOA Coaching. If you would like to find out more about team training or personalized coaching, visit foacoaching.com. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Cytology 101. Until next time, friends.